Shout out to Tyrese Wilson for being one of the real ones. If you want a shout out, all you have to do is subscribe and make sure your subscriptions are public. Thank you all and stay awesome.
Are you ready?
Utterly out of
Time to
control.
Welcome here to Stacks Gaming. We got our first plays deck profile with Mr. Robert Rodriguez.
Yep.
What were you running today, Robert?
Well, for the first tournament in a long time, running an old favorite, Dragunities.
Dragunities or Dragon Link?
Dragunities.
All right. Okay.
Like staying true to the old format. A lot of text and a lot of stuff in it in general. So, starting off, it'd be for my deck, Dragunity Remus.
What does he do?
So Dragunity Remus is a new card that came out in Ghosts from the Past, and what he does is you can pitch him from the hand to get a Dragon Ravine. Obviously, this effect you only get once per turn, so if you have multiple, you're not going to be able to do it multiple times in the same turn. But still, you pitch Remus, he goes to the grave, you get a Ravine. From there, Remus also has another ability. If you control a Dragunity monster on the board, you can special summon him from the graveyard to the board. However, if you summon him this method and he leaves the board, he gets banished instead of going to the grave. That being said, he can also only be used for Dragunity Synchros, unless you're going to be linking for other stuff in general. And you could, once he's summoned onto the board through his ability, you only could special summon from the extra deck Dragon-type monsters for the turn, so it locks you down at that point.
And we got 3 of the new big boy.
Yes, because in 3 in spades, he works better than a terraforming, because the terraforming, once you actually get your Ravine, that's all it's doing. However, with Remus, you're going to be able to actually summon him from your grave and do more with him, which is where the newer strategy comes in.
All right.
So, with the new strategy comes another new Dragunity. We have Legatus.
So we have
So
3 Legatus?
Yes, 3 Legatus, because what he does is if you control a Dragon Ravine, which Remus gives you, or if you control a Dragunity monster, you could special summon him on the board. And not just that, if you control a Dragunity monster that's in the spell and trap card zone, he'll actually be able to pop a card too. But what we're looking at is his ability to be special summoned. That doesn't take away from your normal summons, which has always been a critical issue with Dragunities. That's, you take out their normal summon, most of the time they're going to be locked out.
All right.
From there, we move on to another favorite, which is Dragunity Arma Masillivan.
So I see you're playing 2 Masillivan. Why not have 1 and 1?
So when it comes to Masillivan in general for the deck, Glow will always search it out. And I've learned at one point or another, there's plenty of cards that can banish a card out, and you kind of want to keep the 2. 3 felt like too much, because Glow will always search it out, and Glow adds it from the graveyard as well. So if you use 1, Glow's going to either get it from the grave or the deck. It doesn't matter. Now, if you lose 1 from banishment, then you'll still have that extra, and the 3 Glows always guarantee you to get it, one way or another.
All right.
From there, we move on to the next one. Dragunity Phalanx, one of the classics.
Oh, look at that DT.
Yep.
DT and a secret.
Yeah, no, Phalanx has always been a backbone of Dragunity, synchro climbing to 8s. Now, every now and then for linking and all that, always been pulling in that work as a classic.
Dude, Phalanx is strong.
Then we got Dragunity Ducks. A lot of people veer away from Ducks. I've always loved this card. I've personally loved it more than Senatus. Ducks, what he does is you'd be able to grab that Dragon Tuner from the graveyard, equipped to him, which usually is Phalanx, and Phalanx that attaches itself, and then you synchro climb into the traditional 8.
Yeah.
Or Link, nowadays with Romulus and all that, which I'll get to that later. From there, we move on to, again, Senatus. Not a bad card, it's just you discard a Dragunity card, which shouldn't be so bad either, but he locks you out to your extra deck to be dragons as well. Other than that, like I said, I've always had my own pet peeves to Senatus, so 1's always been good enough to have some presence.
All right.
From there, we're going to use the new Dragunity Arma that came out in Ghosts of the Past, which is Arma Gram.
I noticed a lot of people steer away from Armagram. What made you choose him?
Well, for starters, he's actually always going to be... If he's in your graveyard, he's always going to summon himself out, because this deck is made of nothing but wing-based and dragons, and all you have to do is banish 2 and bring him out. You can't do it multiple times in the same turn if they do something to him. But for the most part, and again, in this tournament, especially for the most part, he'll have his recursion one way or another. He's a free special summon. He's in the grave. You knock out a useless wing beast or dragon that's in the grave or vice versa and all that, and you're going to bring him out on the board. His ability, he knocks out one of your opponent's monster's effects, so it becomes just a normal.
And it loses 1,000 attack. Holy.
Now, the 1,000 attack is a plus, but more than half the time you might not get it, because what he does is it's only for each equip card on him. So if he has no equips, they're not going to lose the attack, but you're looking at being able to nullify the effects.
Yeah.
Another classic Dragunity strategy, Blackwing Zephyros. This card's always been tech into it because you'd always bounce back a Ravine, or in my case, Ravine or World Legacy Guard Dragon, or a bunch of other cards that allow you to recycle those cards, and he just gets you that out.
Yep.
From there, we move on to another classic, Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. Now, since the past, his errata has changed, so you can only use him once in the turn. Even if you recur him back onto the board or flicker him in one way or another, it's only going to be that once that turn. Redum is really easy to summon in this deck, either if you're going to attune him or some other kind of method, or even just draw into him and just banish a dragon.
Whoa. Did you say a tomb?
Oh, yeah. No,
the XYZ creature at tomb?
Yes, this deck goes into that very easily, especially with the newer strategies with Remus.
Oh, wow. All right.
So, moving on from Redum.
All right, so welcome back to Stacks Gaming. We're in the middle of a deck profile, so if the video looks different, we had to switch cameras because the camera died. All right, so let's continue.
No problem. So continuing, next one is one of the only Dragon Rulers off the ban list, Tempest. Because he's Wind and Dragon Ruler, he's an exemplary fit for Dragunities. Between being able to pitch with Wind monsters or dragons in general, it's like he does everything and above for Dragunities for the most part.
Yes, he does.
Then moving on from Tempest, Supreme King Dragon Darkworm. He's kind of always been like a one-off in the deck. I used to run 2. I've even ran 3 at one point, but with Dragon Shrine and a couple of other cards, he's always there as an easy fit to get on the board. And he always was more of a easier target, but with Remus and some of the more prominent Dragunities, he's just an extra extension for the most part. Like if I get him on the board, it's because he's an extender at that point.
I didn't know you were still running that one. I thought you booted him out.
I wanted to always keep at least one. You never know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Speaking of one-offs, Mist Valley Baby Rock. This little guy was champ with the new cards coming in from Remus and all that. Going into Gay Dirk, bringing out a Baby Rock gives me an easy Crystal Wing, or I could use it for Zephyros to go into extenders, but Baby Rock has a huge purpose into the deck. Like, being able to use it is consistent and consecutive. It's awesome. Now, one that's a blast from the past.
Kokimeru Drago. During the event, was this card, could you say, like an MVP for you for sometimes?
Yes, plenty of times, because it shell-shocked a lot of opponents, because most of them haven't even heard of the card for one, and those that haven't heard of it in ages for no less. This card is from way, way back in the older sets. And at the time it was released, it was made to be anti-meta. And guess what? We're looking at a decade later, and it's still anti-meta.
Yeah, against your Outledge matchup, the zombie guy couldn't summon out any of his guys, his traps, the Golden Lord. And he did misplay, but you took advantage of that and went to Pound Town with this.
Yeah, Drago, and here's the thing, I'm not going to run a Kokimeru, the Iron Core and all that, but all he requires is just to reveal a dragon. Dragunities have plenty of dragons to reveal from the hand, so it's never been hard. And just in general, always controls that light and dark special summons.
Yep.
Moving on, we got a pair of the coolest little hand traps here, Ash Blossoms.
Yep.
Which ironically helped me against both of the zombie players today. And none of the zombie players actually drew them against me, shockingly.
Yeah.
Question. Why not 3? Why 2?
So, I guess that's more my personal playstyle. I've always liked running 2 of a certain kind of card. Unless it's like a hard staple, I'll go with 3. But even like Dragunity, Ducks, and Phalix, and a lot of other cards. Even Macillabin, I've only ran 2 of each. 2s always feel like a stronger fit, because in ratio to a 40-card deck, it's like a mini of a 5% at that point. So, it always feels like it's a presence and not too strong of a presence at that. Because I don't want to run too many Ash Blossoms either.
He saw it.
Yeah, he did see it. Alright, I actually thought he ran 3, so I didn't know.
Oh, he ran 2.
I was curious on it too. Okay.
So now, moving on, we look into my spells. And the MVP spell always for Dragunities.
Woo! Super Ravines!
Yes. That very beautiful and very powerful Dragon's Ravine. Since that structure deck, that thing made Dragunity so strong. Pitching, being able to add a Dragunity to the hand or getting a Dragon to grave. Many Dragon decks in general use it. Dragon Links and a couple of other ones always tech it in just because it helps to get the dragons out. Me, it does both.
Yeah. You bounced it and then used it again. Sorry if I sound salty. I got second place losing to this. And now I'm filming it.
To be fair, you really made me work for it.
Yeah.
Speaking of that,
We're friends. We all helped each other.
Dragunity Glow. And yes, friend speaking, of course, actually helped me be able to get the final pieces I needed for this deck. And very hard to get certain pieces, especially right now with the release of Ghosts from the Past, which most of them just came out. A lot of people are getting them up for grabs. And this one is a good example too, Dragunity Glow. One of the first few spell cards that not just looks for a Dragunity card, but it looks for over the level 4. It goes for the level 5 and up. And it actually doesn't matter if it's a level 10, a level 7. It will look for that Dragunity from the deck to bring it into your hand. And then it has the second ability. The second ability being if there's a Dragunity equipped to a monster, it'll unattach it and special summon it in defense. Using that, it doesn't negate the effect of the monster, so you'd be able to use that monster's effect if it's able. And then use it off either as link or synchro material.
Yeah, that's pretty busted. Being able to use that.
Miss Sullivan more often than not uses it with Gay Durg. Then I get a free Attume, and then from there, Redum, it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Now, a classic too, Divine Lance.
The Lance.
Yes, I've been always having at least one Lance, because if I draw into the Glow while I have a Romulus, then I could actually go into the Lance, and it acts as an extender at that point.
I mean, being able to increase its level. I didn't actually ever see anyone use it to increase the attack of their creature before, but he did.
And then on top of that, the monster it's equipped to is unaffected by traps. So, and plenty of people were using traps enough where
It hurt the Golden Lord. The guy didn't realize that.
going from there, a pair of these glorious dragon shrines.
So you did cut the shrine to 2. You were running at 3 before.
Yep. Not too long ago, I was running it at 3, but I was like, you know what? I kind of need a little bit extra space. And when it comes to Remus and some of the newer cards that came out, they do not rely on Shrine. I don't want to use Shrine to send Remus to the grave. I want to add Remus to my hand and pitch him personally to get his better effects. Shrine, the only real targets that it has is if I want an additional dragon in the grave to summon it out like the new Arma, or if I want like Supreme King in there. But other than that, it's not as vital as it once was. But it's an extender at that point.
All right.
From there, we do have now. This one, however, is a great MVP.
World Legacy Guard Dragon.
Yep.
The Reborn, right?
Yep. This one little card with Zephyros, you could use it multiple times. On top of that, it allows you to kind of scale your Dragon Links or just to be able to move around your monsters among your zones. But being able to special summon a level 4 or lower dragon monster or add it to your hand. With this, I could get Remus on the board and not have to worry about Remus's conditioning. Or I could add Remus to my hand and pitch it for the Ravine and such.
Yeah.
Now, from here, it's going to be more singles and techs. Which, a great tech in for any Dragunity deck. Foolish Burial.
Yeah.
Zephyros, Arma, plenty of cards in general that Foolish works exceedingly well with.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a Dark Hole.
Yeah. Dark Hole was MVP. Really blew up some boards.
Yes. More often than not, it was able to get me some of those wins. Made big wins from this. Monster Reborn, a classic.
Yeah.
You're supposed to stick it in.
From Monster Reborn, you got the World Legacy Guard Dragon, but this one allows me to summon it any monster at that point. And it has its uses. It's a Monster Reborn. Always going to be awesome.
Yeah.
It really does make a difference.
Gold Sark. Anytime I could use this card, getting Tempest is always vital, because then it immediately adds a Wind Dragon to my hand.
Yep. It gives you a search.
And 2 turns later, I will get the Tempest and all that.
I didn't know it came secret. That's nice looking.
Then we got good old Regeki.
Yeah.
Just the equivalent of a Dark Hole. It's that extra space. And hits your opponent's stuff, not your stuff. So if you want to save your board, keeps you extra safe. Now, I know this is shocking considering the amount of spells I run. But
If you go first, you can set up a board and lock someone out, can't you?
Yep, and it has its uses. I mean, it was really solid. Today showed a lot of the stuff that I really needed, and it busted its weight.
That's cool. It was a last-minute tech choice, too.
Yep. Now,
Right.
from here, we're going to be going into the extra deck.
All right.
And first one is a classic, Dragunity Knight Gayderg.
Oh, look at that. Secret first OG.
Yep, one of the original Dragunities from the sets. Not from the dual terminal sets, but from the actual Star Strike Blast. Just a classic and always been useful ever since. Getting those searches with Remus now, you go into the attunes. It's crazy what this card does nowadays. From there, double Dragunity Knight Vadriana.
The original.
Vadriana, yes. And this card, again, I love Remus and I'll love Legatus, the new cards, but I'm going to have respect to the old stuff. Phalix has been fantastic, and there's no reason to still run it. Vadriana synchro climbs with it either into a Crystal Wing or a Borload Savage Dragon. Both of which I busted plenty of times today at the same turn, no less, and would control my opponents thanks to that.
See, this is awesome. When this card is synchro summoned, you can select a level 3 or lower Dragon-type Dragunity in your grave, equipped it. Once per turn, you can send one equip from your card to the graveyard, double this card's attack, so it's just like, it still makes it a 38. If not, you get into your big synchro plays. Like,
yeah, and back in the day, one of the plans was with him and Eccles, send Eccles pop a card and double his attack.
Yep.
So Vadriana's always going to have its use, not even a question. However, something new could always be very useful. Crystal Wing is just, without questions, a really strong synchro. And it's conditioning for a tuner and a synchro monster with it. It's like Dragunities were doing that for so long, and it's literally a wind. It was like an unofficial add-on to Dragunities a long time ago.
Yep.
And something even newer, Borload Savage Dragon. Man, with the times I summon Romulus, this card always picks up the Romulus to have 2 link counters, and you'd be able to negate.
He doesn't have a memory card in there.
At least with 2 link counters, it's like you're able to negate. It's a good Omni negate at the point where it hits Magic Trap or Monster Effect, and just a 36 beater with Romulus.
Yeah, that does it. I mean, when you made that board in round 5 for your tiebreaker, you made a Borload and a Crystal Wing, and that just, your opponent couldn't do anything.
Yeah, it locks.
Borload with 2 negates.
2 negates, and I'm just like, wow.
Now, this was kind of an added tech, which I only got to use it like once in the tourney, but it made its use. Because this is Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. It's not like Scarlet, and I actually do like Scarlet just a little bit more. But Hot Red hits every attack position monster on the board, and it doesn't matter if they're stronger than it, it's going to still try to destroy them. And the good thing about this guy is that it's still... Most people run Links nowadays, and Links are going to always be in attack position, so this outright would always hit Link decks in general.
Yep. Luckily, it didn't go up against me. It would have hurt. I ain't gonna lie. It would have hurt.
Now, I know this is questionable. Formula Synchron. Love him whenever I can bust him out. And I have 5 bricks, so anytime I need that extra draw, and it's not that hard to go into 5 bricks. He'll literally get me the Phalix too whenever I need it from the deck. So it has its pros and all that. It's all pretty solid. Now, the reason why I run Hot Red Dragon Archfiend was for this guy right here. So, Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity. I couldn't bust him in the tournament because no matter... There was only twice I could have, but each time I got hand trapped, so I had to go a scale down to either a Borload or to a Crystal Wing. Which was fine, it's just... It was like I kept trying to do it, it wouldn't happen.
But it's there, like if you make that, your opponent's turn just ends.
Yeah, because the whole point was getting on the opponent's turn, shut it down, and then, yeah.
Yeah, essentially with the Formula Synchron.
And a Phalix.
And your choice of any of your level 8 Dark Dragons.
Yep.
And then any level 2, Ramus, Phalanx, something, boom.
I wish it was Ramus, but it has to be Phalix, because Ramus does have the condition where it can only be with Dragunity monsters.
Really? Okay.
In the sense where it can only go into a Dragunity synchro.
Making the Phalanx, and then boom, you just, you have your choice of any of these guys as your Dark Dragons.
Yep. Now, moving on, we move to the one and only Exceed in the deck.
So you were mentioning that you actually had a Heretic Dragon King Atem. And I'm just like, I hadn't seen that card in forever.
Yeah, a lot of people hadn't expected that either, but the new Remus play, pitching out the Remus, you get into the Ravine. Ravine gets you Legatus. Long story short, you go into Gaydur. Gaydur goes into Romulus. Romulus gets you Masillivan. You end up with both on the board, and then you're able to exceed into a Tomb.
Yeah.
A Tomb gets me the Redum. Redum gets me whatever I need to bound, and either gets me into a Link, a Synchro. It's just crazy good.
Dear Lord.
Now, another major MVP, Dragunity Knight Romulus. This guy right here. So, but when he's summoned, normally people would either go for the Dragon's Ravine or the Divine Lance, which are still strong plays, but now with Dragunity Glow, he goes into the Glow. Glow gets you the Masillivan. Masillivan tributes him off to go into whatever you need to, and you equip whatever Dragunity to Masillivan. Glow removes itself, and you're able to get 2 very powerful monsters to use for linking or exceeding at that point. Without question, a great MVP.
Yeah.
Fibrix. Now this guy, if I Dragon Lock myself, I won't be able to see him as much, which does happen with Remus. But if I have the extender where I don't have to, then I bring him out, which allows me to go into Formula, gets me my extra extenders at that point, and an extra draw, so all good. Heretic Seal of the
Heavenly Spheres.
Yeah, there you go. This card was really strong in this tourney, because almost in every game I was able to play this card with a Crystal Wing or with a Borload, or at some rare times all 3 on the board in a single turn, which is scary.
Like you did during your tiebreaker round.
Yeah.
You ended the board with the Spheres, a
Boral
Sword, a Crystal Wing. You had an Ash in the hand, and you had in the backfield a Cosmic Cyclone. Like, yeah, you had 5 points of disruption right there.
Yeah, like that's 5 cards in a hand. That's hitting a whole hand. I was like, oh my goodness gracious. Moving on, another great MVP, Borload. Because this card got me a major win in the tournament too, because I distinctly remember last round, locked from Synchros, I had to go into my extenders to go into this Link. And this Link was able to bring me back from that.
It did. Get more flat in there.
No worries. But yeah, no, Borload, always a classic Link, especially for a Link 4. And another great Link 4, Bowl Sword, man. I really didn't get to use it as often because I wasn't really going to my Links primarily, more into my Synchros. But Bowl Sword was still very good. And the few times that I had to go in my extra Links was very strong, no less.
All right. So thanks for the deck profile. So you got first place at this event, right?
Yeah, everything was really solid. And I'm not gonna lie, it's like not even just the main decks, but the side deck made a huge, huge difference to the decks. So like, buddy of mine gave me plenty of advice of what to run, what to do, and that side deck saved me. Like, I was able to outplay a lot of people because of my side deck today.
That's how it is when siding. It becomes that chess match. Do you have an MVP of your side deck?
Not even a question. There's a couple, but if I was to name names, there's the Koyakamiri Dragos, because I always keep one in the main, but 2 in spades in the extra side deck allows me to have 3 if I ever really need it, and that in itself is great for draws and all that. But the last MVP after that goes into the double nibs. Oh my goodness, the double nibs.
During the final round, you Nibiru'd a person twice, one turn after the next.
Yep.
Wiped the board.
Yeah, because I had opened with at least one and then drawing into the other. It was like those nibs made a huge, huge difference because I saw the spamming. And in the first one, I used Koyakamiri Drago because I kind of figured my opponent was going to go into at least 1 or 2 lights and darks. And even if he wasn't, most people usually do target Koyakamiri Drago to get it off the board because they'll think I'm relying a lot on it. If you notice, nib's a light. So as soon as it went off, it allowed me to use the nib because that was taking the chains off myself.
Yeah. All right, Robert. Thank you for the profile.